All right, going to take a look at Meredith Whitney here. Now, you may have seen the picture of Larry Jones. We'll get to Mr. Jones here a little later. But just to give you an example, and this is something, virtually, I can assure you, nobody knows this. Nobody, people don't follow this. You have to have a good history of understanding what went on over the past 15, 16, 17 years to understand when you're getting duped. Now, CNBC, the whole media kingpin, the whole media mafia, these guys, they're always defrauding people. Now, understand this. All these YouTube investment gurus, they all watch the media. Okay? In fact, most of them they're just getting all their rambling from Cathie Wood. Cathie Wood is not only an idiot, she's a con artist. Cathie Wood is a fraud. Okay? And the reason why is because you can just go back a couple of years ago when she was claiming there's still deflation. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about her today. Obviously, she's, anyway, I'm going to educate you people. You're not going to hear this anywhere else in the world because I'm probably the top expert in uncovering media fraud, financial fraud, and not just because I've been doing it for almost 20 years, but also because of my background, my expertise in the financial markets, the capital markets, and also my desire and passion to expose the media, because the media is an absolute criminal enterprise. It seeks to deceive and defraud its audience for the benefit of its advertisers. It's the ad-based model, folks. Advertisement-based content is a scam. Okay? There's no free. If something is free, you're the sucker. You're the pigeon. Okay? You think you're getting something for free. In reality, you're getting reamed. I've been talking about this now for nearly 20 years. And I focus on the financial media because it's the most obvious to see it, because they have a pretty narrow genre, right? The topics that they talk about is pretty restricted. It's pretty easy to see the agenda there, you see. Whereas if it's just a normal network, they have all different types of topics. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. So I saw this today. The growing crisis of young American males should send home prices falling for years or even decades. It says the Oracle of Wall Street. I mean, who's that? Is it me? I mean, I'm the guy with the leading track record in the world. It's fact. Okay? I mean, I don't know definitively, but I can tell you I don't know of anyone else that has anywhere near my track record. And I'm so confident, being a Wall Street insider, as I am, that I've put up money against that for backing that with more than, I think, 10 or 11 years, that claim. Okay? I've backed that with money. No one's ever come in front of me, because you see, when people want to make claims and talk shit, they don't want to back it with money. They just want to yap. When I make a claim about something, I back it with money. Okay, I back it with money because I'm serious. There's no screwing around. So when I see someone call someone the Oracle of Wall Street, I mean, who predicted the financial crisis? Right? Who did? Who did? You all, hopefully by now you know I did. If you don't, there's a description there with the links. And even if you see the links, most of you aren't going to understand. You're not going to even know. I have to explain it to people. I have to explain why. Most people, their version, especially if they're on YouTube, I saw The Big Short. Michael Burry did. No, he didn't actually. He was a fund manager. He made a bet. He didn't tell anybody about his bet. He could have read my published books, which detailed what would happen in advance, right? You see, I'm not going to get into that. I've already covered that so many times. But so let's see who they're talking about here. The Oracle of Wall Street. Well, it's Meredith Whitney. Deemed the Oracle of Wall Street for successfully calling the financial crisis. No, she didn't, folks. This is a patented lie. This is a blatant lie. That's a fact. And I'll bet anybody in the world as much money as they want. Anybody It's a fucking lie. The media is constantly making up claims like this. I predicted this would happen 10 years ago. I said, because I saw what was happening, I was banned by the media from the beginning because I tried to warn Main Street about the collapse. I tried to warn Main Street about Wall Street fraud. I tried to warn Main Street about why their jobs were being shipped overseas, why their incomes and wealth was being stripped from them, what was going on, the scam of free trade. I tried to warn everyone about why they were getting ripped off from the healthcare system. I exposed America completely, in addition to having predicted what would end up being the financial crisis 2 years after I wrote about it. Okay? That's why I was banned, by the way. And so I know the deal. And I can tell you right now, Meredith Whitney, let me give you a little background on Meredith Whitney. First of all, well, let me finish my thought. After I was banned and all these con artists and broken clocks and scammers and idiots were being promoted in the media, right? I said, you know what? I can tell what's going to happen. 10 years, 20 years down the road, you're going to continue to see more and more people come out of the woodwork and claim they predicted the financial crisis. Why? Because as time goes on, people are going to forget, and they're just going to trust the media. And I know the media is a criminal organization. They're completely fraudulent. They're lying all the time. And in fact, many people pay the media to get promoted, like Robert Kiyosaki. You may be wondering why he's being thrown out all over the media all the time. It's stupid. Robert Kiyosaki says, this and that. Dave Ramsey, that's all bullshit. That's PR. They're paying for that garbage, by the way, in case you all don't know that. Meredith Whitney, let me just explain. Meredith Whitney absolutely did not call the financial crisis. She's a joke. And in fact, she's trying to build her business now to lure in kind of a YouTube low-hanging fruit crowd, the retail sheep. See, before, Meredith Whitney was an analyst at CIBC, okay? She was an analyst at CIBC. She came out with the report on October 31st, 2007. Now, that was, if you might remember, that was almost exactly 1 year before the peak of the financial crisis. However, most of you, well, none of you know this, but by October 2007, the financial crisis had already begun, but nobody knew this but me. Okay, well, I'm not going to say I'm the only one. I'm sure some of the fund managers who are watching it closely also knew. But I was one of the few people to have known. Why? Because I wrote about what would happen, and I was watching things. In fact, I think it was, for someone who was really on top of it, it was pretty obvious that it had begun by the summer of 2007. Even though there were things before that clearly were problematic. But anyway, my point is this. Meredith Whitney wrote a report on October 31st, 2007. From that report, she was attributed to having predicted the financial crisis. Now, I'm going to show you that report. You all have probably seen Meredith Whitney, right? Meredith Whitney, just she's all over the place. She's engaging in PR now, and of course, Meredith Whitney, she's in the right cabal, so she gets the exposure. I'll break another one to you here. Tim Sykes, the penny stock day trading scam artist, fraudster, liar, he pays for PR. He gets on TV show. He pays the people. Okay, that's fact. Larry King, he paid. Steve Harvey, he paid. CNBC, so on and so forth. But anyway, let me just mention, in case you all don't know, every single person that promotes day trading as a lucrative long-term investment strategy is a fraudster. They're a scammer. Write that down. Now, it's important to know, of course, about my background when I'm making these claims. Folks, most important thing you can do in your life, especially these days when everyone's a blabbermouth. Everyone thinks that, I've got a microphone and a computer. I can speak my views. No, some people need to shut their fucking mouths and keep quiet until they learn something in life before they're just blabbering, making fools out of themselves. These days, though, all that matters the more you blabber, he's blabbering. I want to listen to him. So the most important thing you need to do is understand truly who you're listening to. If you're going to listen to somebody, understand their credibility. Okay? Everyone's opinion is not equal. Now, I know you snowflakes out there, you all have grown up in a generation where this whole egalitarianism thing, oh, everyone's equal, everything is equal, we're all equal. Everyone's opinion is not equal. There are people who are more educated, they're older, they're more experienced, they're wiser, right? So, of course, I'm a Wall Street insider, one of the top investment analysts in the world, irrefutable. That's irrefutable. And I want you to remember that when you hear me make these claims, that day trading is a scam. Everybody who's promoting day trading is a scam. Now, look, I'm not saying you can't make some day trades, okay? Sometimes short-term trading can be lucrative. It can be a good thing. You can make quick money. The problem is that you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined to know, hey, you know what? This is something I'm not going to be doing much of, right? Because if you're not disciplined, you can fall into the trap of distorting your mindset and your strategy, and you can just blow yourself up. But people that are promoting day trading as a sustainable investment strategy, right? They're liars and scammers. And that's a fact. Every single person out there. Show me somebody, and you have them come to me. Prove it to me, not to some fucking chump on YouTube. And once again, I said this earlier, people that do live trading, folks, everything on YouTube can be faked, okay? Believe me, you can set up servers to fake everything if you really want to go high tech, where people aren't going to detect it at all, okay? Anyway, Meredith Whitney, I'm going to show you the report, okay? I'm going to show you the report, and I'm going to show you what Meredith Whitney wrote that supposedly has provided her with this stature of having predicted, not just having predicted the financial crisis, but the Oracle of Wall Street? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? So let me give you a little more background before we show you that report. Now, Meredith Whitney, and I take offense to this because, of course, I predicted the financial crisis with more detail and accuracy than anybody in the world. There's no comparison. Zero. Okay? If you don't know that about me by now, you're behind the curve. Take a look at the description for the links. And most of you probably aren't really going to truly understand unless you're a professional in the investment world and you've been around for a while. But just to give you an idea, after you read the chapters that I have posted for free online on archive.org on the real estate bubble and shorting, my recommendations to short all these stocks that went bankrupt, the banking stocks, Fannie, Freddie. After you do that, then go and see and check anyone else and see if they did that. Compare. So in other words, who is attributed to predicted the financial crisis? Peter Schiff. Read his book, his original book, Crash Proof, which, by the way, was released after my book. Read his book. It didn't predict shit. Okay? He was wrong about almost everything. That's fact. You can write it down. Okay? Who else? So even Robert Kiyosaki is claiming he predicted the financial. Everyone's fucking claiming that now, but nobody did but me. Write it down. Now, you can go out there and find a top person. Find a astute, well-established business and finance professor at a good school. Okay? I'll debate them on that. Okay? Find a top fund manager. Okay? Find somebody top tier to go up against me to debate this. That's who I'm wanting. And I'll put money up against it, by the way. Tell the person we can front money for charity. We'll put it to the favorite charity. Okay? Anyway, no one's going to come. I predicted all these things, and of course I'm banned for no reason whatsoever other than me having exposed everything. And of course, if you threaten to expose the gravy train that people in control are running, you're going to get banned. Now, sometimes you can do that if you are of a certain ethnicity. They'll let it slide, you see. But for the most part, you can't expose the gravy train of scams. You can't expose Wall Street like I did. You can't expose corporate America like I did. including the free trade scam, which I wrote about in detail in my book in 2006. Right? Think about that. Think about that foresight, by the way. I wrote about how that was destroying middle-class America, destroying working-class America in detail. And I wrote about how it was creating national security threats because of China, how we were allowing our intellectual property to be transferred and stolen by China. I wrote about that. 2006. I mean, think about that. Think about that for a second. Okay? Anyway, so Meredith Whitney, I don't know when she was dubbed as having predicted the financial crisis, but I know this. She went off on her own sometime, I don't know, 2008 or something. But if she predicted the financial crisis, don't you think that she would have made some predictions like, oh, well, the banks are going to fail? No, she never did that. Let me go ahead and show you now the report. And you can look it up on your own. Whenever you hear Meredith Whitney predicted the financial crisis, you know it's a lie. Jim Rickards, it's a lie. All these people, lie, 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 lie. Okay? Let me show you. This is the report. You see, folks, let me remind you all who I am and my background. I've got a advanced degree in biophysics and biological chemistry. I don't fuck around. Okay? I don't make stupid claims. And I don't really brag. You know, you've got Tom Nash, the fraudster. He wants to show his University of Michigan shirt because he went and got a certificate program, some type of certificate thing over there. He didn't get no fucking degree. I went to an Ivy League university, not some state Michigan school. I went to Ivy League. Okay? Major league. So I probably know how to think critically. Since I studied physics and chemistry, went to a good school, was on full academic scholarship. I don't talk about these things, ever. In fact, I'm not so sure that I even mentioned that I was on full academic scholarship, ever. You know why, folks? Because I don't need to promote myself with superficial fucking bullshit. I show results. That's all that matters. People that pump out all this extraneous nonsense, they're trying to lure you because they're con artists. Anyway, here it is. Here's Meredith Whitney's report. You can see October 31st, 2007. Remember, and you can look this up if you don't believe me. Look this up and you'll see, in some other articles, you'll see, oh, well, when she predicted that Citigroup was going to cut their dividend. Are you kidding? I mean, you know how easy it is for me to predict companies cutting their dividend? I have probably like a 95% track record on that. It's fucking pretty easy. It's not that difficult. Okay. But that's all. That's not, I'm giving you some context there. It's not that difficult. But some other articles you're going to hear, they're going to say, well, yes, she predicted that Citigroup would, cut their dividend. And that's, they attribute that to her predicting the financial crisis. I kid you not. Here's the full report. Okay. CIBC. And here's the kind of the summary. Our thesis is simple. We believe over the near term, Citigroup will need to raise over $30 billion in capital through either asset sales, a dividend cut, a capital raise, or a combination thereof. Okay? We believe such a catalyst will pressure the stock significantly lower and accordingly downgrade from SU to SP. Sector underperform, I'm sure, to sector perform, right? Downgrade sector, yeah. So think about that for a second. So she's saying basically that they need capital. She feels that they need capital for whatever reason. She's going to go into it in the report, whatever. And as a result of that, because they need to raise capital, they need to sell some assets or cut the dividend. That, whatever they decide to do, cut the dividend or sell assets, that's going to cause the stock to go down. Okay? So she downgraded it from sector perform to underperform. She didn't even downgrade it to sell. I mean, did she say, we think they're going to have a financial crisis? You understand? This is what the media is using to claim she predicted the financial crisis. Are you fucking kidding me? If you think that's anywhere remotely close, you need to read my material where I actually discuss everything. I discuss I explain how Wall Street securitizes mortgages, and they go through the process and work with the credit rating agencies, and how the credit rating agencies are fucking rubber stamping it all. How there's all fraud going on. Okay? You understand? Read the shit in my description. Read those chapters, folks. So, this is it. But according to the media, Meredith Whitney, you understand, this is fraud. This occurs on a daily basis with the media. They claim people, and they know people aren't going to check into it. Meredith Whitney, and by the way, I've got a big piece coming out on Robert Kiyosaki. This guy is one of the biggest fraudsters, scam artists in the world, absolute filthy liar. I'll be releasing it on my website. I've already done like several pieces on the guy. Complete fucking scammer. Anyway, so you all aren't going to know this. You're not going to catch this. You're going to read the title, Meredith Whitney predicted the financial crisis, and you're going to believe it. You're going to fucking believe it. Okay? Oracle of Wall Street. So why is this fraud? It's fraud because, first of all, it's like these YouTubers. It's media fraud. It's clickbait. It's fucking lie. They're getting you interested in this piece based upon the lie, based upon this presumption that she predicted the financial crisis. She's an oracle. No, it's not true. And I'm going to show you here, not only she's not an oracle, she's a fucking investment disaster. She's a failure, a complete joke. She was laughed out of the business. It's also fraud because she's building a name, getting exposure, because she's launched her little research firm after hiding for like 8 years away from the public. I'll show you here in a second. So let's go ahead now and take a look at, so you can see here 2023. Meredith Whitney, who predicted the financial Barron's. Barron's, I've already known this, and I've got thousands of other pieces of evidence, but you can see now Barron's is a fraud. Barron's is a fraud. It's a scam. You're seeing they're making a bold-faced lie. Bold-faced lie. Of course, by Andy Server, who is a former Yahoo Finance boiler room loser. Email this guy. Tell him that they're lying. It's a fraud. CNBC, fraud. Promoting her again. You see, so what's going on right now is Meredith Whitney is engaging, she's paying PR firms because she's trying to launch her an investment research for retail people. See, let me give you some more background. Notice this. Whitney's Armageddon, bellied by best returns of 2011 Muni credit. So here's the deal. You might recall, if you're old enough, Meredith Whitney is like another scammer with a similar name, Whitney Tilson. Whitney Tilson, I remember quite well because during the time 15 years ago, 13 years ago, 14, when he was trashing Netflix, I was recommending it the whole time, ever since I wrote in one of my books in 2008 to buy it. It's going to take over the DVD rental business, and Blockbuster's going to go bankrupt, which is why I recommended to short it in a book. And by the way, if you can find any other book that's ever recommended to short a stock, I want to see it. Nobody ever does that. You know why? Because it can go against you. Shorting is typically a short-term thing. So if you have somebody who's putting in a book to short something, first of all, they've got balls of titanium. Okay? And if it pans out, they go bankrupt or near bankrupt, then they got brains that are, I don't know what. You can decide. Okay? Got it? So here's the deal. Meredith Whitney departed a couple of years later, and she tried to start a research firm. And she was so arrogant, that the media was giving her a lot of hype. And, Meredith Whitney, she didn't predict shit. And so what did she do? So she tried to make waves. And she comes out with this whole thing, which is on 60 Minutes. You can probably see it on ScamTube. Back in around 2011, I think it was. She predicted that there would be more than 200 defaults in America. 200 municipal defaults. Okay? 200. More than 200. And causing a huge problem. Now, I predicted there would be a couple of defaults, but namely with shit zones that were, that had been troubled, all along. The weak players, Cleveland, Detroit, right? But Meredith Whitney's talking about more than 200 defaults, and 60 Minutes gave her airtime. They promoted her. And so you can imagine what happened. And I told this story before. At the time, one of my clients was a municipal bond fund manager. And we were talking on the phone. We were laughing about this. We were laughing about Meredith Whitney on the one hand. On the other hand, he was concerned because this caused the municipal bonds to sell off. Okay? So it was actually a buying opportunity. So what happened? What happened? And you can go see that. You should see the 60 Minutes, okay? Because they're going to make her out like she's some oracle. She didn't predict the financial crisis, okay? This is what the media does, folks. Almost nobody knows this. Nobody spends the time and has the expertise to find this out. So I suggest you look into it, because looking into this, and I'm giving you, already a lot of fuel here, you'll understand how the media works, okay? Because the media, this is the highest level of scams. I mean, YouTube is a joke. It's just fucking obvious, these guys. So what did Meredith Whitney do? Well, we didn't have a municipal default situation. Munis rallied, did well, and so she was panicking. In the meantime, she was offering her research to institutions for $100,000 a year. I don't know, maybe she should go into business with Meet Kevin, right? Kevin's charging $10,000 an hour to talk to him. I could charge $1 million an hour to talk to me, right? I could charge that. Think about who I am, what I've done. That's how good I am. I'm not perfect, but find someone who's better than me. Now, I'm a guy, in case you all have forgotten, I advise multi-billion-dollar funds. Okay? Now, this is not about me, though, but I have to give you some context. Anyway, so $100,000 she's charging. $100,000. That didn't go over too well. Okay, with her muni bond thing, complete collapse. That collapsed in her face. Munis didn't collapse. Okay. You see that? And so you can just go through and read these headlines. Meredith Whitney loses credibility as muni defaults fall 60%. So then she launched a hedge fund. So she failed with that. A couple of years later, she launched a hedge fund. That failed. And so she was done. Okay? She was done. And she basically disappeared out of the public for about 8 years. And so she's coming back now. There you go. Meredith Whitney on 60 Minutes. 2010, December 2010. Meanwhile, I can't get a single fucking interview to save my life. Think about that. Remember, folks, I'm the guy who was banned who could have enabled you guys to make a fortune. If you'd known about me, read my books, I wrote about a prediction of Dow 6,500 as a bottom. You can read it in my book, Chapter 17, the 2006 original extended version of America's Financial Apocalypse. I mentioned 6,500, and March 10th, 2009, it bottomed at 6,500. And I even wrote a couple of articles, about 3 or 4 articles prior to that, highlighting that 6,500. And on that day, I told people to start buying. Okay? I mean, this is all fact. It's all published. You can't, you can't lie. It's there. And I can't get an interview to save my life. Think about that. See? The call that anticipated, no, it didn't. That's a lie. They're always lying, the media. She's here, So Meredith Whitney is a fraud. There's nobody out there other than me that predicted the financial crisis. There were people that made money off the financial crisis, but that's not a prediction. Making a bet is not a prediction, right? You understand the difference between, if you're going to claim to have predicted something as colossal, as unprecedented as the financial crisis, which we've never seen before, anything like that, you have to present a very detailed thesis explaining a lot of things, like I did, like you can see in the chapter links in this description at the archive.org. Take a look, study it, read it, get to know what went on back then. Get to know, once you get to know, if you really know, like, what was going on, who said what, you'll see I'm the only person that I predicted it all. Okay? I mean, not 100% accuracy, obviously, but when you're writing in a book recommending people to short subprimes and Fannie and Freddie, nobody shorted Fannie and Freddie. Nobody thought Fannie and Freddie would collapse. I recommended a short because I knew all that shit was going down the fucking drain 2 years before it happened. Think about that. How does that stack up to fund managers who made a bet, who didn't tell anybody about the bet, who could have hedged their bet, who could have gotten out of their bet if it went against them? I wrote a thesis and I'm banned. Okay? Think about that. The more you get to know about me, the more you're going to open your eyes. And you're going to start questioning things. Because I can tell you what happened to me during that period. Boy, I've never been the same. I didn't realize what was going on, honestly. I was wondering, like, what is going on? Why am I being banned? I opened my eyes. I realized part of it's racial discrimination. That's part of it. And then part of it's also about hiding the truth. You can't reveal the reality. You can't expose something that's going to cause people to not make a lot of money. I'll give you a good example. I exposed free trade, the whole free trade scam back in 2006. I explained in detail in my book. And if you want to see, like, I have a video on this site you could take a look at. I include many of the excerpts of trade, and you can just, you can read those excerpts to understand the big picture of what has happened to America. You couldn't talk about any of this stuff before. Okay, you couldn't talk about the trade issue, anything like. No one wanted to talk about that. Only since Trump brought it up has it been a topic. Have people started to think about it? So obviously, corporate America, a big gravy train for them. Corporate America, and I wrote about this stuff. I said, look, corporate America has committed treason, and Washington has as well. They sent our jobs over to other countries. This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. At that time, it didn't. Now it's kind of a virus, right? No other country does that at that time. You don't send jobs. And in fact, many of the countries that have the strong societies, the countries that have closed borders, they don't open their borders to anybody that wants to come in. They don't send jobs overseas. If they did, the people would riot. Why would you send jobs? Why would you send the ability to earn income? Why would you take food off the table of your citizens and put it into another country? And, you're hearing things about China now. And of course, I've been researching China for almost 20 years. I'm an authority on China. I predicted China, the boom and the bust with detail. Do I have to mention, by the way, how, when all these YouTube fake investment gurus were recommending Alibaba, and I came out and said, look, Alibaba, China's in trouble, you guys, why would you, and people were laughing at me. Oh yeah, you're better than Charlie Munger. Yeah, I am better than Charlie Munger. Yeah, I am better. Okay? Fucking idiot. And by the way, when you talk about these people, don't tell me about Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, whoever, when they did really good 60 years ago, 50 years ago. You know why? I haven't seen the details of what they were doing back then. All I know is what I see today. And those guys ain't doing too good. Warren Buffett ain't doing too good. He's only doing okay now since 2000 because his lieutenants, who are basically running Berkshire Hathaway have invested in high tech. Okay? Remember, Warren Buffett doesn't understand high tech. So why has he got high tech all in Berkshire? Because he's not making the investment decisions. His lieutenant is, what is the guy's name? Cohen, or whatever the guy's name is, okay? If you've ever wondered why Berkshire has like high tech in its portfolio, that's why, by the way. Anyway, I mean, the YouTube guru is like, oh, Michael Burry says this. Michael Burry's a joke. He's a broken clock. I've already shown that. He's a clown. But anyway, folks, you got to understand, and of course, you don't get through to YouTube, okay? 99% of the audience on YouTube is very low level. It's the platform with the dumbest people in the world. And that's why the scammers are all over YouTube. They saw Ty Lopez become a successful scam artist, and that was it. From then on, easy money. You see, this explains why you have people as stupid as Larry Jones, and he's got a huge following. There's a lot of stupid people out there. I mean, think about it. You have different levels of stupidity, right? Because why? Because there's different levels of stupidity in terms of crowds. You understand that, right? I didn't honestly realize how stupid the crowd, the people were in masses until I saw YouTube. It's a very stupid, it's shocking. So Meredith Whitney is launching her she's come back now. So this is why she's making the rounds. She's paying for PR. And of course, her and her former wrestler husband, they're in the gang. So they get a little special treatment. You see, she's going to be pushing her so-called research to you people, the retail crowd. You see, kind of like how Whitney Tilson, you all know Whitney Tilson. This is a guy who was going on CNBC. CNBC is a criminal network. You all know this, right? The mob, big time mob connection. But Whitney Tilson was going on, and he was, by the way, he's one of these guys that calls himself a value investor, yet he's shorting stocks. What? Excuse me? I mean, if you say you're a value investor and you're shorting stocks, you're delusional. You're mentally weird, or something is wrong with you. You don't know what value investing is. And by the way, if you call yourself a value investor and you're buying tech stocks, you're not a value investor. Write that down. Value investing is not buying any stock that you want as long as it's less than its intrinsic value. That's not the definition of value investing. Anybody who claims that is a fucking idiot. Now, I'm considered a world authority in valuation, by the way. Okay? And you all know, well, maybe you don't know my track record, but I can assure you, you're not going to find anybody that can match it. I'd like to see it. I mean, where are they? Okay. Value investing, I've said this over and over again. And the reason why people, even fund managers, are deviating from value investing, they're trying to redefine it. You know why? Because value investing is dead for the most part. It's been dying a slow death ever since 2000. Okay? It's been dying a slow death ever since 2000. Because why? Because of the emergence of high tech. So what's happened is all these fund managers who claim to be value investors, I think that Google is a value investment. I'm a value investor. I'm going to buy Google. It's a value play because it's under intrinsic value. Wrong. If you're a value investor, you're valuing stocks based upon traditional valuation methodologies, right? Value investing. Paul Gabriel, the fraudster from Everything Money, he quotes all these people. He claims he's a value investor. Oh, Howard Marks. And listen, Paul, you're a scammer. You're an idiot. You're a real estate rental boy. Get back to the fucking rentals, boy. Okay? Stop scamming people with your 8 pillars bullshit. So let me explain. I've said this over and over again. It's funny because all these people that claim to be value investors and they cite, oh yeah, Benjamin Graham and all these value fund, these value fund managers or value investors, their heroes are, Benjamin Graham and so forth. Well, guess what? Graham and Dodd, they were teaching and investing in the 50s, in the 60s, back when there weren't high-tech stocks. Value investing means looking at valuation using methods like PE ratio, book value, dividend discount model, discounted cash flow. And of course, all these fake investment gurus now, they're pitching discounted cash flow. I want you to look at this is my spreadsheet. Folks, discounted cash flow cannot be used to value any of these stocks these guys are claiming to value. It's impossible. I'm telling you right now. Discounted cash flow is for value-oriented companies, companies that have predictable cash flows. Okay? If you have a high-tech company, you have a lot of intangible assets, right? Traditional valuation methodologies don't value intangible assets. How are you going to predict cash flows from patents, from trademarks? Can't do it. Okay? You can't do it. If you want to use discounted cash flow, you can use that for companies such as, let's say, Alcoa. Companies that have they have a lot of property, plant, and equipment where the assets are tangible, where the business is easier to understand. You all follow me? How come you've never heard this? Because these guys are fucking idiots on YouTube. They have no fucking idea what they're doing. You can't use discounted cash flow. That's fraud. Okay? Now, in fact, ask yourself, do you think Wall Street comes out and does discounted cash flow evaluation for a stock? Do you really think so? Well, I worked on Wall Street, and I can tell you they don't. Okay? They build models. Now, is discounted cash flow used as a part of the model? Yes and no. But these people are using discounted cash flow analysis in isolation because they're fucking frauds. They're idiots and frauds. And you can let them all know this. Okay? I'm the big swinging dick. There ain't nobody who can fucking come close to me on YouTube. Okay? And by the way, why do you think Warren Buffett doesn't understand technology? Because he's a value investor, right? You got it? He doesn't understand technology because technology is a large percentage of the assets that generate the revenues are intangible assets. You all understand intangible assets. There's tangible assets and intangible assets. Tangible assets, property, plant, equipment, right? And intangible assets, patents, trademarks, right? Technology innovation, so on and so forth. Many other things, right? terms of getting back as an investor, if it's coming down to here, almost irrespective of what's going on, I have to believe, if I have to make a call in advance, and of course I can change depending on what happens, but I have to believe this is where you want to start doing that 18, 17, around there. Their earnings report is a complete game changer, at least for quite a while. Bottom line, NVIDIA now is going to enter the realm of Tesla, Apple, and all these other big, I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works. I mean, listen, NVIDIA can come down to 150, come down to $100. If you don't think it's possible, then you don't understand how the market works.